close. Hey everybody, just here to talk about government contracting. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And yeah, I'm just here to talk about government contracting. I've been government contracting since 2018, and I've done everything from firefighting to renting equipment to selling products to hazardous material cleanup, construction, fencing projects, surveying, grazing allotments, all kinds of different stuff. So this is a great place to be and a great place to ask any questions. I will show you guys. We'll get onto the NAICS code website and look up NAICS codes. NAICS codes are all the codes that you can use to easily search for different contracts. So then I'll actually get on sam.gov and do a walkthrough with you guys on what contracts do, and then we're going to go through an actual contract, and I'll let you guys choose what NAICS code you want me to look up. Then we can go on SAM and look at them, and then also even choose what kind of contract you want to look at, and just give you guys a quick rundown. So let's see. Leo, do you have to have an EIN number to get a government contract? That's a great question. So you do need to have an EIN. So you need to start a business. In most states, at least the state that I'm in Oregon, I've got 6 different companies that I have registered here. And in Oregon, it's $100 and takes about 15, 20 minutes. Might take you a little bit longer if you've never done it before, but you just go through, answer questions, and then pay for it. Then getting your EIN is free once you have a business registered in your state. So you do need to get an EIN, but once again, it's about $100 to start a company. In my state, it can't be that much more in other states. So that's where you need to start, and then you can get your EIN. So you do need an EIN to be able to register on sam.gov, and then there's a bunch of steps for sam.gov that need to go on. So it's mind-blowing the amount of products and services that the government wants, from tiny stuff like they need people to cut the grass at certain government buildings and dust and clean and vacuum, all the way up to they want to buy jets and all different. So it's literally the scope of what's going on and what you can do for the United States government. Whether you have a company or not, you're going to need to start a company, but I think you'd be pleasantly surprised to see that there is something for everyone and any skill level on there. And it's a great way to start as having a side hustle that turns into a main hustle. And that's what I was doing. I was working a minimum wage job selling auto parts in 2018, and I found government contracting, and I just slowly started bidding on stuff and learning about it. And I would bid and work on bids at lunchtime while I was working there, and then also on the weekends. And I landed my first one, then I landed another one. And my first contract took me a little while just because I didn't know what I was doing and I had to do a bunch of research, but I made more money in that one contract with now what would be accumulated a couple hours of time than I made in a whole month. And as soon as I started doing that consistently, I said adios to the auto parts business and started doing my own thing, and I've never ever looked back. So what the NAICS code is, it's a North American Industry Classification, NAICS, and every industry, product, anything has a number associated with it. So you go look up that number for what's closest to what you're looking for, and then you can put that into the government site and find all the jobs related to that. I'm in New Mexico. I have a dozer, excavator, dump trucks, water tender, 4,000 gallon. That's awesome, Petro. So I don't know if you're in Region 6 or not. So the U.S. Forest Service splits the whole U.S. up, and so does FEMA, and all different. And none of them, of course, they couldn't use the same numbering system. So like over here on the West Coast, I'm in Southern Oregon. I'm in Region 6. But there's a rotation of when those contracts come up for firefighting. So chances are, I think dozers just came up, and tenders maybe come up next year, I think. But once again, I think you're in a different region, so they might be coming up this year for you guys, or next spring, or most of those for firefighting have closed. But you can get on with the state firefighting agencies, and those go every year. And you could also sign up on an EERA, which is an Emergency Equipment Resource Agreement. And that means you're like the backup to, if they run out of resources, they call you. And I know lots of people that get on those and they still get paid, and not get paid unless they're out, but they still go out and do work. So that could be another really good one for you too, Petro. So, and all of those tools, there's hundreds of contracts all the time right now, other than doing stuff for fire, where you could put those pieces of machinery to work, whether renting them to the government or going and doing jobs with them. It's a lot of the time in most contracts, especially if you're doing construction, there's going to be a section in there that says notice to offerers or instructions to offerers, and that's where the government is going to lay out every single thing that they need back from you for your bid to qualify. So that's one of the first things to look at. As you get into SAM.gov and you find a contract, you're going to go to the bottom and there's going to be links and attachments there, and those are going to be all the associated documents with that solicitation that's come up. Make sure you start following us. We've got some really good videos just lifting the veil on government contracting, how to do it, and really a lot of like some of the best content I think is just and to help open people's eyes and get them realizing how much money can be made in government contracting is contracts that are coming up and contracts that have closed and different pieces of equipment, how much they go for. I think your mind will be blown looking at some of that stuff and going, holy cow. I mean, let's just put it this way. I've got what my cheapest piece of equipment that I have was a water truck that I bought. It's a 2,000 gallon water truck, which it puts it in a type 3. I get paid $1,400 a day during fire season for that. Sorry, somebody's texting me. I get paid $1,400 a day for that truck to be out on fires during the summer. So, there's a whole world of stuff where you could have a little tiny bit of overhead, and maybe there's even stuff that you already have. I mean, there's tons and tons of landscape maintenance contracts where, minimally, if you had a rake, a shovel, a lawnmower, and a weed eater, you could probably do some of those jobs very easily. And it's not a full-time gig, and you can make almost full-time money a month doing it. So, hey, Shay, what's up, girl? Do I teach courses? I've been thinking about recording some courses. Honestly, I just got into social media about in the beginning of January, so it's only been a couple months since I've even had social media. So yeah, I think I'll do some courses. Once again, it's a huge thing, like my Dharma, which if you don't know what Dharma is, it's like the purpose that we're on the earth, and I've found financial independence through government contracting, and not that just because I've done it, it's going to work for you, but I at least want to show people the way. I have no problem on lives, you guys asking any questions you want and giving guidance. I do offer paid one-on-one coaching over the phone and over Zoom. Zoom is the best. But I do need to make some courses because people constantly are asking me for them. Little teaser though, once again, if you're not following us, make sure you're following us, because I've got something in the next couple weeks here coming out that's going to completely change government contracting and how people do it. And you could know very little about it, and because of the lumps in the years that I've been doing it, the software and AI that we're developing is going to take all the hard stuff out of it, and it's going to completely change the game. That's the most I'm going to say, but please stay tuned, because sometime here soon the whole game is about to change, and it's about to really get flopped on its top. And just because from years of me struggling through stuff, I know what the hardest parts are of government contracting, and that's where we're going. So that's the deal, Shay. You can direct message me and ask me any questions. And then once again, I do one-on-one coaching. How do I go about try to bid on these contracts, Petro said, and also they're asking for performance bonding. So sometimes, Petro, they are asking for a performance bond. So a performance bond is, so once again, on most of those, anywhere, if they're asking for a performance bond, there should be in the contract details, there should be a place where they're asking for, where they give instructions to offerers, which is telling you exactly what they want. You don't have to get the performance bond until you've landed the job. So don't go buy a performance bond before you get the job. But a performance bond, if you don't know what it is, anybody, so when you get a job with the government, and they don't always ask for it, but sometimes they do. Let's say I bid a job and it's $200,000. Now, I'm going to have to go get a performance bond, because they want to know, the bond is basically, let's see here. A performance bond is if it's a $200,000 job, they're going to want, I think, 3% of that. If you don't know what performance bond is you go to a bonding company and you give them a certain percentage of whatever the whole job is, and they're guaranteeing that if you don't finish it, they're going to put the money up to have it finished by somebody else. So you don't ever get that back, Petro, but I always just put that in the bid that I'm getting that money back. So, you're getting your $3,000 or $4,000 back, or sometimes more. It depends on how big the job is, depending. So yes, they're going to want a performance bond, but you don't have to pay that or provide that to them until you have the job. How to get started, Mogul says, and what type of contracts are there to do? Mogul, how do I get started? You need to go get a business registered in either the state that you live, or you need to get one registered in a different state. It just depends on taxes and all the different things of what you're doing. You can get a registered agent in states, so you don't necessarily have to live there. You pay them for their address. You can do that, but once you get a business, you'll get an EIN, then you get registered on sam.gov. So you can go on sam.gov right now without being registered and take a look at contracts. Mogul, second part of that, what type of contracts are there to do? Mogul, anything you can think of. Anything. Anything you can think of. Think of something that they want to buy that you could sell them, or you could build for them, or you could change a light bulb or cut the grass, literally anything. They buy pens to fighter jets, and they have people change light bulbs all the way up to build skyscrapers. Will said, how do you talk to subcontractors? I call them and I tell them the job that we have, and I send them the information. Sometimes I'll check. You can look on sam.gov and see if people are registered on there. And if they are, then they might already be bidding on it, or you just told them to go bid on it. But you never know. You never know. Maybe they don't want to do the whole thing. I just approach them with the job and see if they're interested. And if they are, then I send them any pertinent information. With Viper, does the equipment need to be new? Nope. There's a lot of people that say that, there's dates and you can't have something this old and blah, 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 blah. That's all BS. As long as your piece of equipment meets the requirements and runs and operates and doesn't have oil leaks and it's not a total piece of crap that's falling, as long as it operates, they don't care. And as long as you do your bidding process right and you pass your inspections, which are pretty easy, you can get on there. So no, there is no year that needs to be on there. I've seen early 80s and late 70s bulldozers out on the line before, plenty of times. So no, and people will tell you that, but that's all BS. And how do you know the requirements? So you need to type in VIPR contracts on Google, and it'll bring up a USDA site, and you can go on there and it will give you an option under one of the drop downs for compliance requirements. I think that's what it's under, but it's something like that, or an inspection checklist. And you just download that, print it, and then you'll know exactly what you need to do. What kind of capital did I start with? Because you know what? It takes money to make money, right? Nope. Bullshit. BS. No, it does not take money to make money. I started out with $0, and I started middlemaning contracts. So you don't need any money. You need to find something on sam.gov that they want to buy. Then you need to go find a company that will give you an account and will give you those products on credit. You have them deliver it. You get paid from the government. You pay your bill. That's how I started, and that's how I operate in a lot of different areas now. So no capital. I had zero capital. I was very, very broke and very, very poor when I started, and then just slowly built up to what it is today with 5 different companies running. And I'll be living on the beach in the wintertime, bidding contracts, and in a different country, and spending time with my kids and surfing every day and doing things that I never ever thought 6 years ago that I'd be doing in my life. So zero capital. You just need to keep after it and work hard and do it smarter, not harder, right? Okay, so in Google, I'm going to look up NAICS code lookup. NAICS, right? NAICS code. That stands for North American Industry Classification System. And as you type that in Google, it's going to come up with a whole bunch of different stuff. There's the NAICS Association are usually the first ones, and it just depends on the day because they rank differently depending on the day. You're going to have a whole page of all kinds of crazy stuff. The very best one that I've found so far is census.gov. So it's a census.gov site that you can go onto here. So as you come in, this is the main screen, and you're going to see NAICS code searches for 2002, 2017, 2012. 2002 is going to be the most relevant keyword search. So this is where, depending on, and you have to play around with the wording sometimes. So let's say you do, let's say you're a plumber. And you could put in plumber, but you're probably going to want to put in plumbing. Now, sometimes it'll come back with nothing, but now it did come back with plumbing. So depending on what you do, there's this many codes. All these different codes depend on what you do, right? So as you can see, a lot of them are the same, a lot of them are different. It just depends on what you do. So whether you do bathroom fixtures, whether you're an actual contractor, whether you just install fixtures and you don't actually do any plumbing, there's different fixtures, like you're just selling sinks, you're selling china, you're selling anti-sclad bath and shower valves, backflow preventers, flush valves, shower heads, spigots. I mean, there's all the different things. If you're a wholesaler, it just really depends on what you do. So we're going to jump back in here real quick, and I'm going to answer some questions, and then we're going to ask somebody in here what industry they're in, and we're going to look up the NAICS codes for them. Are a business LLC focused on each service you provide necessary? Can you have one that does it all? Yes, you most definitely can, Jesse. You can add NAICS codes to you can just have one business. I changed it around because I have different partners for every one of my businesses that I have. So I created separate entities for those, just solely for that fact. But no, I operated under one, which was my firefighting company. That was the first thing I started, was a firefighting company, because I knew I wanted to get in a fire. And so I operated under that for tons and tons of different contracts. So yes, you can have one business and do anything you want underneath of that once you register as Sam. So Philip asked, do they maintain the equipment? What if it's a total loss, i.e. fire? So Philip, when you're on a fire, if you're renting the equipment to them, yes, they will maintain it. It's a rental job and you're just dropping off equipment. When I'm on fires, I have an operator with it. So I'm completely in charge of my own maintenance. I'm in charge of my own fuel, all of that stuff. So on fires, yes, I'm in charge of my own stuff, and I have everything insured to the gills so that if I do lose it, I can rebuild it or replace it very, very easily. So I hope that answered your question. Z the Light, you are welcome. I think you're talking to me being sweet. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Hey, Strawberry, good to see you. Does a person you subcontract need to be approved by the government ahead of time as well? Or don't? Or D? No, they do not. Depending on if you're going to like a secure area, they might have to have a background check, like some of their employees. But no, most of the time they don't care. It's all going to fall on you if you're the prime contractor. And how long did the validation take? So, Cameron, it's a tough question, because validation for your stuff can take, I know people that have had it happen in 2 days, and I know people that has taken months. So it just depends on the backlog of sam.gov and them approving people and getting the paperwork done. And it also has to do with how exact that when you're doing your registration, whatever your EIN and your state paperwork says, if you have a capital at the beginning of your name and then a capital at the end for whatever weird reason, or whatever it is, you capitalized your street name or you capitalized the ST of street abbreviation, you better do exactly, and I mean exactly, what you did on any of that paperwork. If you submit paperwork to them and then you write your name and your bank information on another one, you better write it exactly the same every time, because if you capitalize something on one page and then don't capitalize it on the next, that thing will be caught up in there forever, because they use certain programs and algorithms that check all that stuff, and they use there's humans doing it, but they check all that stuff to validate it. And if it doesn't validate perfectly and you didn't write everything down exactly as you did every time, you're going to get kicked out. You're not going to get kicked out, but it's just going to take a long time. Then they're going to send you a support ticket and go, hey, what's up with this? And you're going to go, oh, there's supposed to be a capital there. And they're going to go, oh, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's simple things, but that's a huge, huge part of it, is that you got to make sure you're precise on every single thing you do. Do they accept virtual addresses or virtual offices? No, they do not. GenGuard, no, they do not. Do you think the market is becoming saturated? Hell no. Work from Home asked if the market is becoming saturated in government contracting. Most definitely not. The government spends, I can't remember the exact number. I'm just going to shoot a number, $400 billion a year on small businesses or on government contracting. $400 billion. If you think that little old me and little old you and little old everybody on here could even get a crumb of that, there is a lot of people with lack mindset that think that and actually get quite pissed at me for giving all this information out. It's crazy. Once again, those are people with lack mindset. I try to look at the world with an abundance mindset. And once again, there was a time in my life where I did have a lack mindset, where I didn't think there was enough in the world and that, resources and things needed to be hoarded. But that's a lot of the reason that the world is in the situation that it is now. That being said, no, the market is not being saturated. There is more than enough to go around. There's plenty of contracts that I bid on that I'm one of 2 or 3 or no people that bid on it. So most definitely not. It is not getting saturated. He. Work from home they always need more. Always need more. That's right. Okay, so we get down here, work from home, Z the Light, Phillips, Clay, perfect. HVAC and refrigeration. Okay, we're at 10,000. So once again, we're going to missed it. We are on the NAICS code, North American Industry Classification Code lookup. That's what I'm typing into Google, and it's going to come up with all these different NAICS code sites where you can search, right? So we're going to go down and we want to find the one that says census.gov. Census.gov is the best one that I have found. Once again, we've got something a little bit better coming out, but as of right now, this is what we want to use. And we're going to have to play around with different words because sometimes you can just put in HVAC, but sometimes we might have to put in heating and cooling because it might come back with nothing. Okay, so this came back with a HVAC equipment wholesalers and then installation people. So under HVAC, we're at a 238,220 and a 423,730. This is the NAICS codes, and this is what's going to correspond with the SAM.gov. So we're going to go SAM.gov, and it is bringing up an old contract that I had. So we're going to go back. This is what the website's going to look like when you guys log in. Anybody logs in, you put in SAM.gov, this is the website. So there's all these different options that we can do. But for us and our purposes right now, we just want to see contract opportunities. Okay, it's going to bring you into this little page here, which a lot of people are like, oh, I would just put HVAC in here. But putting in HVAC in here is not going to give us the same results. So we want to get into the main search, which I'm just going to literally put any random letter in there, and we're going to use A for today. Once I come down, this is the search again. We've got all our drop downs with different options, and I'm going to get rid of that letter. And the first thing I go to is dates. Response/dates, offers are due. I want to see stuff that is due in the next 3 months. That means I don't want to see anything that's closed. Now, SAM.gov has hundreds of thousands of contracts in it. And if you don't select that and you start looking for contracts, you're going to bring up a whole bunch of irrelevant information, and you're going to be wasting a bunch of time looking at contracts that don't even exist anymore. So that's the first thing you want to do. Now, as we go down product and service information, this is where we're going to put in our NAICS code, right? So we already put in that we want to see relevant things. Now we want to see things for plumbing, heating, air conditioner, and contractors, right? So right now on sam.gov in the HVAC area, there is 109 contracts that are active right now. These have not closed, and these need to be bid on and need contractors to do them. From anything from a boiler replacement to looks like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration needs maintenance and support. Maintenance services, add some controls, service, train chillers, condensers and water pumps, chiller replacement. So literally there's 109 different opportunities here. And a lot of these like maintenance ones, either they just need you to come do filters or even just have a, technical support, maintenance, troubleshooting, and filter replacement. So you literally could go and just have a paid contract with them and be on call. You got enough of these going. This could be your main gig. So right on, Philip. Thanks for asking about that. So that is, that's where we're at. You got 109 things, 109 contracts that you could be checking out and bidding on, Philip. That's awesome. And some of them close every day and they add more and so on and so forth. Okay, Strawberry, one of my favorite people. Can you explain how to present reps and certs and RFQs if you're only a small business? So Strawberry, as long as your reps and certs are up to date in sam.gov, which if you've gone through and you've checked all your reps and certs, I know they put them in. That's exactly what I was going into. I know they put them in every single contract. Usually the only ones you want to go through it, and if they have some highlighted, then you want to. Usually the only ones you need to go check through is the telecommunications one, which is you're saying that you don't use camera systems and you're not installing camera systems on the job and you don't use satellites. Those are usually the only reps and certs you have to do every time. So as long as they're active and up to date in your SAM registration, the contracting officer will be able to see that. You don't have to fill out all 80 pages and check every box and fill all that stuff out, because it's really, really confusing, and nobody tells you that. So there you go, Strawberry. My brother has a tree cutting company. Oh, right. Let's see. So I just put in tree, and this has came up with 49 different results. Coconut tree farming, tree nut farming, fruit nut trees, Christmas trees, fruit stock, tree seed extracting, tree gathering, tree oils, shoe trees, Christmas tree lights. I mean, everything. So tree removal, tree trimming. Okay, so I'm guessing he has a tree trimming service. So that's going to be under the 561-730Z. And tree work and arborist work is that's another one that's huge on sam.gov. So once again, we're going to come down to our NAICS code. We already put in when our offers are due, and now we're going to add our 561, what was it, 700? 700? 730. 730. So fence repair, vegetation management, grounds maintenance. So all this stuff is going to be underneath of, they put that under that same NAICS code, which is a lot of landscaping stuff. There's some tree trimming, invasive plant treatment, turf replacement. So there's a lot of stuff that falls under there. Landing zone, drop zone clearing. So this is a bunch of tree clearing. Right now, Z, you can tell your brother there is 72 results underneath of that NAICS code, and they're everywhere, all over the world, all over the U.S. We got Oregon, Montana, Arizona, Montana again, California, Idaho, California. I don't know where that forest is. That's in California. West Virginia, California again, New England. All these are going to be somewhere else. I don't know where those are. Fort Worth, Texas. Let's see, Virginia, again, disease tree removal. This is in Washington State. And there's 3 pages of this, of 25 different, there is stuff for everybody on here. Let's see, we own a screen printing and embroidery. Check that, please. Oh, screen printing. Bro, there is so many screen printing things. I have a buddy that does screen printing, and him and I have bid on a whole bunch of hats for the Arkansas National Guard. We did a bunch of hats for them, and there were some shirts. We didn't get the shirts, but there's tons of screen printing things. Like, if you think about it, every single National Guard, all the merch that they give out, hats and shirts and silly water bottles and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that when you're a kid going to job fairs. All of that stuff gets done by private contractors. 21 different things. I would have thought there would have been a couple more, but still 21 jobs that are open right now. That is impressive. And that's, you could be bidding on those. Okay, what if you're the only bidder? Do you win? So Philip, it depends on the contract. Sometimes, yep. Sometimes they will then put it out and they'll reach out for more people to get bids. It just depends on the contract. Timber falling. Most definitely, Christy. There are so many timber falling jobs. I've got lots of buddies. I know because I've worked with timber fallers. I was a timber faller for a long time. And on the Viper contracts, they pay about $2,500 a day for 2-man teams for timber falling. I mean, some of it's pretty dangerous stuff, but so you can make, $1,200, $1,300 a day, depending on what the contract is, but you can make that much during the summer during doing fires. So labor and rates, every contract down in the attachments, if they apply, they're going to give you a wage determination. And it's a big document that tells you exactly how much you need to be paying people. So that's usually what I refer to. If you're doing it yourself, and let's say you and your brother own the company and you're doing it yourself, those wages that information does not apply. But if you have employees on the job, then you're probably going to have to submit. Sometimes they don't always ask for it. You're going to have to submit a certified payroll at the end of the job to show everybody that they got paid correctly and that you were all in line with government, all the government stuff. You get financing for your contract if you're a middleman. So, Sammy, there's several ways. Most of the time, if I'm doing middleman stuff, I'm going to first, I'm going to do it backwards, which I'm going to do it backwards. So what I normally do is I find a contract that I want to bid on. Then I go find the supplier that will give me a commercial account, which means they'll give me credit, which means they give me those products for free, which means they also deliver those products for free. So if I don't get a commercial account, I'd have to pay for it. So by getting a commercial account, I don't have to pay for anything up front. I have them ship it. I collect the money from the government. I pay off my bill, rinse and repeat. So that's how I do that with no money. Or when there's bigger contracts, I go borrow private equity. You can find private equity firms. You can find individuals that you maybe know that have a lot of money and are willing to lend you money to complete a contract, usually with a high interest rate. I've done all kinds of different ways. How do I get started? Charles, the first things you need to do is get a business. You need to get a business registered in the state that you live, and then you need to get registered with sam.gov. How long does it take to hear back from the bid approval? That depends. I have heard back in 2 days, and I've also heard back in 2 months. So it just really depends. You just got to keep asking the contracting officer what's going on. I'll email them after I don't hear anything for maybe a week. I'll email them and say, hey, any progress with did you award the contract yet? If so, how much did it go for? Just so that we can be more competitive. And half of the time they'll write back and say, yes, we awarded it. Here's how much it goes for. Or no, we haven't awarded it. Just hang tight. And then I just keep bugging them until something happens. And then she also asked, how do you know how many businesses are bidding? You don't know. You can take a guess sometimes by talking to the contracting officer. If there's a mandatory site meeting, then you go there, you're going to see how many people are bidding. But other than that, you're kind of shooting in the dark. Corey asked, hey, how do you find your suppliers? I've been so confused. Like, for example, PPE products. So it depends what the PPE product is, but if you're trying to sell PPE, you need to, you can get online. You can go find a local distribution place. You need to find somewhere that will let you open a commercial account and give you credit. That's one of the biggest things. Unless you have the money to pay for it up front, then you don't have to worry about the credit thing. But I always like using other people's money to make money. It's way easier because then I've still got my nest egg in case something goes wrong. I can pay for what I need to pay for. So I hope that, set up an account with Uline. There you go. I'm here. That's perfect. How do you bid? Do you send the estimate to the email included on SAM, or is there another way? Sometimes you can mail them in. I've never mailed them in. I always put my packet together and send it to, they'll usually say in the document, proposals are due by this date to this person. Make sure you look at that, because sometimes on the main site, it's going to say this is the contact, but that's not who you're supposed to send it to. Look for the exact instructions that say who you're supposed to send it to and email it to them, yes. And tip, when you email something, always ask for a confirmation email back, because sometimes your stuff gets sent to spam on their end, and then you're screwed. If you make sure that if you ask for a confirmation of receipt, they email back, you can just rest easier at night. Is there contracts in California, or do you focus all US? There's hundreds and thousands of contracts in California. I focus all over the world. I've bid on jobs everywhere, all over the world, in Asia, in Guam, Europe. There was one in Russia, but then the war broke out and we decided to pass on that one. I've been on contracts all over the world, but a lot of them are in the US. But just something to keep in mind. Sammy asked, what is the standard profit margin? It really depends, Sammy. It just depends on the job and how much it's going for and what I'm doing and where I have to get. It's a really hard question to answer. Normally, products are anywhere from, I know people that bid them at 5 to 30. I usually go 10 to 30. Just depends what I follow my gut and how much competition I have, where it's at. There's a whole bunch of factors. So that's a pretty tough question. Can you look up what NAICS code is for your field? ? I've been Googling and sometimes it's wrong. Yeah, Jared. So we went through a little thing earlier. If you type in NAICS code lookup in Google, it's going to come up with a bunch of different sites, but the one you want to use is census.gov. Go in there and type in your, it's going to ask for keywords. You might have to play with the keywords. Like you might be let's think of something that you'd have to play with the words on. Maybe you're a truck driver and you want to see truck driving contracts. Well, if you put in truck driving, it might not come back with anything. But if you put in transport, then that's going to come up with different truck driving NAICS codes. So you have to play with different words in there, but go to the census.gov, and that's a really good one to look up. I tell them, Corey asked, and I'm assuming you're talking about subcontractors, do I tell them you're on a government contract? Yep, most definitely. I do. Some people keep it quiet and just don't say anything because once again, they're in a lack mindset and they think people are going to take everything from them. I'm straight up and tell people what's going on. And if they're interested, cool. And if they're not, because some people hate the government and don't want to do any work for them. So I usually am straight up with everybody and tell them. Do you let the contracting officer know who the subcontractor is? Sometimes they want you to list all that. If they ask for it, then yeah, most definitely tell them. Is there situations where I've subcontracted and I didn't tell them? I don't think so, but that was just part of my proposal that I put together. So it kind of depends if they want to know. I mean, it's a pretty important thing to know, but I don't think it's totally necessarily unless they ask for it. When will they ask for past performance? Just depends, Bob. I've had plenty of jobs where they ask for it, and then bigger jobs that I see that seem way more technical and are 10 times the amount of money, they don't give a hoot. So just depends. Usually on like products and stuff, they'll never ask for it, but construction jobs, sometimes they do. It just really depends, man. It's a government. Once again, there's no standardized way that they put out contracts or do contracts. So product or service, which one is better to start with? It depends if you're already in a service. Let's say you already have a landscaping company. That might be the easiest. Me personally, I started with products because that was the easiest thing for me to go get a corporate account on. So there you have it. Standard rate is higher than what is on the document. You mean minimum wage? Is that what you mean, Phillips? I doubt that because usually those documents are, the money's pretty high. I mean, they have wheelbarrow pushers and they're at $30 an hour or whatever. So if that's what you're meaning, I don't know. Then you need to go, that's a BOLI question. That's not a question for me. It's a Bureau of Labor and Industries question. But usually I go, whatever, if they give me the wage determination, that's what I go off of, because technically when you're on federal land, that is exempt from all other, it negates everything else. I've done plenty of construction jobs where you're supposed to have a permit for it, but because we're on federal land, we didn't have to get any permits because they're not liable for stuff like that because they do whatever they want. So I would say the wage determination, if they provide one, that's probably what you better go off of. Submitting in our RFQ, do we list subs as our team partners? Yep, that's what I would do, and just explain, in your technical proposal, what their role is. Okay, then Strawberry, a second part of that question, or do we put all technical under our company as a prime? I don't know what that means, but I would put in a technical proposal, this is the part of the job they're handling, this is who they are, this is their experience, this is how long they've been in business, yada, 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 yada. So I would talk about them, but I would put it in your technical proposal and maybe even just touch on it quickly in your cover letter. Do you have to have insurance for business? Charles, it really depends on the job. Sometimes they're going to ask for insurance and they want to see your insurance and they want to know that you have it. And sometimes they don't. It's very contract specific, my friend. Starting out, do you have to go get insurance right this minute to start bidding on stuff? No. If they ask for it, you have to have a certain amount of insurance? Right on. Don't go get that until you have the contract. Once you have the contract, then you need to show proof for all that stuff. So really, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't go do any of that until you actually have a contract and they say this is how much insurance you have to have. I mean, obviously, have insurance on your car and things that you have to have insurance on. But I wouldn't do it until you actually get a contract. And then once again, if you have people working for you, you need liability and all that stuff. But that's where I would start, my friend. Some of my industry pays rates is higher than what is on the rate document. I don't know, Philip. I think if the rate document's there, then that's what I would be going off of. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of other stuff on there, but that's probably a question for an accountant or the contracting officer. Just say, hey, our wages are $40 an hour here and you guys are saying it's only 30. What do we do? You're either not going to get anybody to work for you, or they're going to say 30 is what you have to pay. And if you're paying more, then right on, and you just bid the contract higher so that you can pay your guys more. There's nothing wrong ever with paying employees more than you have to. So once again, if they ask for certified payroll and you present them with payroll and it's over what that document says, nobody's going to say anything. They don't care. It's not like you have to pay them that amount of money. If they say it's $30 an hour and you pay them $100, the government doesn't care. It's not a big deal. As long as you're not paying them less than what it says on that document, no worries, my friend. Would you recommend, Strawberry asks, would you recommend light construction for beginners? Yeah, for sure. For sure. If you've got experience in that, once again, handyman stuff, once again, follow our video. I've got another video coming about handyman services on sam.gov and how many contracts are on there right now. So that will be coming out later this week. So yes, light construction, most definitely. That's an awesome thing and great question, Strawberry. I have no construction experience. I'm a young lady with HR background, laugh out loud, but I can project manage. Right on, Strawberry. As long as you can, let me tell you here, girl, as long as you can put the pieces of the puzzle together and make sure they're all working, then more power to you. There's plenty of people that build whole housing subdivisions and have built thousands of houses in their life and have never ever picked up a hammer. So don't let that discourage you. Yes, light stuff, that's awesome. Maybe you have a cousin that does handyman work, or you can even, once again, sub it out and have somebody else go do it and make a couple bucks off their back. So Yeah, that's awesome. You don't necessarily have to have it as long as you can talk the talk and you know what good work looks like and you know what they're supposed to be doing, which once again, that's one of the fun things about government contracting is you don't necessarily know about concrete, but you're bidding on a concrete job, so you're going to learn as much as you can. And then if you get it, you're going to learn even more. So it's this constant learning thing. So yeah, right on, Strawberry. How do I find how much they will pay for the product or service in advance? You can look at possibly past awards, but you don't know. You don't know. There's a website called Unison that is a reverse auction. You can see real time, and people are reverse bidding, going cheaper and cheaper and cheaper for a product, and you can kind of see there. But you don't know. You're just going to have to start bidding them and either start with a really low profit margin and then work your way up or work your way down. That's how you're going to learn. Is you're going to go, okay, pens, I'm going to look for writing pens, and I'm going to start selling writing pens to the government. Now, you're going to go bid on the first contract that you see for these pens, and then you're going to get your ass beat, and you're going to go, oh, I need to go cheaper, and you're going to go, you're going to guess what they bid it at and how much, what percentage they were making. Then you're going to bid a little bit lower than them next time. Then if you smoke them, you're going to move up 1%, and you're slowly going to do that until you get your ass kicked again. Then you're going to go back down, and you're going to go, okay, cool. Pens, I can make an 8% profit on pens. I know that. Now I'm going to go look for the next thing. Every time pens come up, I get my price from my supplier, I add my 8%, and I send it out the door. You have to do little case studies. Any product that I've done, I've bid on probably 10 to 20 contracts before I got one because I had to figure out where the pricing was at and figure out how much money I could make. So you're going to have to figure out all that pricing. I'm not a roofer, but I'm able to create roofing estimates. How can I use that to my advantage? Ashley, that is a great question. You can look up roofing contracts on sam.gov. You can go look up the NAICS code first. Look up the roofing contracts, go bid those contracts, go find subcontractors that will do the contract for you, give them the square footage, the material, all that stuff, get their price from them, then you tack it on, you tack on whatever percentage you want to bid it to the government, and then get those rolling. You're able to create roofing estimates. What else would I do with that? I would possibly go to roofing companies and tell them, hey, I've got this estimator tool. Can I start doing bids for you? And if you land them, then I get a certain stipend off it. That could be something you could do with government contracting. You're not a roofer. You need to partner with somebody is probably what you need to do. And then you can go bid these jobs. And then you need to find, once again, you need to make sure that you're going to be able to make money on it, because if you go bid them and then you have a roofing company give you a price and their price is higher than what you bid it, then you're going to be kind of screwed and you're going to be losing money. So that's where I'd start, Ashley. Or once again, trying to partner up with a roofing company. Or when you do see a contract, get the details, material, size, all that stuff. Send it out to a whole bunch of roofing companies and see what bids they get back to you for it. And then once again, you could put your profit on there and have them do the work. Pico says, I'm new here. How do I start? So the first thing, Pico or anybody else, is you need to have a business registered in the United States, and you need to get registered with sam.gov. You don't have to be registered with sam.gov to go start searching opportunities and contracts on there, you guys. Every one of you has this amazing, amazing, amazing thing inside of you. You just need to get yourself out of your comfort zone. You need to step into things that make you feel uncomfortable and you feel like you're scared to fail. There's no such thing as failure. There's just learning experiences, and any opportunities that you step away from because you're afraid of failing, you just lost a serious, serious lesson. So if I can do government contracting and I can become financially independent in 6 years, it's been less than 6 years that it got me financially independent. If I can do that starting in 2018 from working a minimum wage job, I promise you, you are no different than me and you can do it too. You just need some determination and stay after it. Follow our page. I've got really good information on there, and stay tuned because I've got a tool coming out here soon that is going to completely change government contracting and take you from being a first-year person to a 6-year person, because I already took all my lumps and figured out what was needed for everybody. So once again, I 100% believe in you guys. You guys are badass. You can do this. And I'm here to support you too. So I love you all. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the likes. And we will see you next time. Thank you guys so very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.